Hi, hi. Welcome. I'm going to kick off right away. I'm just going to quickly see if I'm live. Apologies. In true Bianca fashion, just before she was about to go on camera, she picked a spot. Fucking disgusting, aren't I? Welcome along. Thank you for joining me. If you are watching this live, do pop in and give me a little wave. If you're watching on replay, do pop in and give me a little wave. Either way, let me know so I can see who's watching, who hasn't watched. Let's dive right into it. Okay, so first of all, I sincerely apologize. My hair is a goddamn mess. It's been a long day. I'm tired. I still got another coaching call to go. Just leave me be. I'm just going to acknowledge the fact that I don't look too great today, but do you know what? You get the me. You get the real me. It's been a long time since I've been on a live, actually. So hopefully, I'm not going to babble on too much, give you the right information that you need, and bugger off and leave you guys to it. So I want to address, firstly, why the hell am I talking about menopause? I get it. Straight off the bat, you're probably thinking, oh, Jesus Christ, what the hell is she doing talking about menopause? I get it. I already got a message today saying, why are you talking about menopause? Well, the reason why I'm talking about menopause is because I am female, so I'm going to go through it. Okay. As a plant-based person who is interested in the power of nutrition, it is something that I have looked into. It is something that I have helped my clients with. And it is something that I need to know for myself. But not only for myself, I have female family members, I have female friends, I have older friends, people who are going through perimenopause. I need to know these things because it's really important that if they need help, then I can guide them in the right direction. So just because I've not been through menopause doesn't mean that I can't stand here and help you and offer you the knowledge that I have. So let's just get the elephant in the room addressed. I am 30 years old. I have not been through it. I cannot personally tell you what an experience is like. However, I have watched my mum suffer with menopause. She's currently going through it and having a really tough time. She's had to go and try many different forms of medication. She's kind of lost her shit really, really quickly a few times, and I feel totally helpless. So the fact that I'm doing this now really helped me boost my knowledge, and kind of then I can turn around and say, right, this is how we can help. Okay, so there's nothing wrong with educating yourself or others if it's the right education, of course. Like I said, I'm not here to speak from experience, only knowledge, only research that I have read and know of. And I get a lot of women coming in and they're looking at turning to a plant-based lifestyle, maybe because they're around that age, they're wanting something to help. They've heard that diet helps with every element of life. Of course, with menopause, it's easier, or it feels easier, to increase your weight as well. So a lot of women that are coming into the plant-based weight loss group are also looking at dealing with that extra weight gain as well. So I do see a lot of people and have a lot of women asking me in the entry questions as well of how to deal with menopausal weight as well as just the menopausal symptoms. So again, I'm here to share my knowledge with you. Now, from everything that I have read, everything that I've watched, the research that I've looked into, it's really difficult to tell you this, but food doesn't heal everything, but it can help. Okay. And it's really important to know that it can, not that it won't, and not that it will. And the good thing about leaning towards plant-based nutrition, the good thing about leaning towards plant-based nutrition is that we know for every element of your life, it can improve it. It can improve health, energy, mental clarity, mood. With off the back of that, it can also improve relationships. Okay, it can increase your longevity, energy. Like I said, you can put so much more out there to the world and live longer if you're on a plant-based diet anyway. And we know this, but it can't heal everything. So this is kind of some things that I've learned, some things that I've seen and put into learnings as well. So first of all, I would really, really like to tell you that or emphasize how important it is to get checked regularly. And when I say checked, I mean get bloods done. If you notice extra bloating, extra fatigue, go and get your bloods done and find out if you're deficient in anything. Find out if you have picked up an allergy or an intolerance. As we age, we can develop an intolerance. Doesn't mean that you you could handle gluten 10 years ago doesn't mean that you can handle it now. You can develop these intolerances. So it's really important to get your blood checked regularly for abnormalities and deficiencies, because if you then deduce issues to menopause, you could actually be fixing some of the issues because you're not thinking that it's menopause related. And then you can fix it with the nutrients. So like I say to my weight loss clients, if food isn't the problem, food isn't the solution. So if it is the problem, it is a solution. So always and regularly get your bloods checked. I get mine about every 6 months or so. Yes, I'm in the UK. Yes, I get them through NHS, and they're not a thorough one, but it's definitely good main markers. You look at iron, calcium, vitamin D, B12. And since I've been plant-based, my vitamin D has been low and my B12 has been low. But that was a while ago. And now they are at a perfect level. And I only needed to take supplements for a couple of months until I figured out how to get a varied diet without needing the supplements. So first tip there is to check regularly for deficiencies, allergies, and intolerances. And if you can, check as regularly as you can, every 6 months, every year. It's really important to make sure that your symptoms are not necessarily menopause symptoms and that they could be fixed through food. Okay. Now, to ease symptoms, start early. And I mean before perimenopause, right? Not just eating healthy, may I add. I'm not talking about just eating healthy, but consider improving your exercise. Consider improving and getting in place really good stress management and prevention techniques. Consider really solidifying a perfect and healthy sleep pattern that works for you. If you don't have all of your ducks lined up in a row before you go into menopause and around that age, it will set you back a lot. So essentially, if you're doing all you can up until then you are going to reduce the impact and ultimately, hopefully, and this is all individual, of course, hopefully reduce the impact that the menopausal symptoms are going to have on you. Okay, so again, to reduce and ease symptoms, start early. You can't start early enough, I promise you. Look at not just eating healthy, but consider exercise, stress, and sleep. Okay, these are the 4 fundamental pillars of health, which I always revolve health around. It's not exclusive to those. You want to look at every area and element of your life, and these pretty much summarize the main key elements. Okay, the nutrition, sleep, movement, and stress. Make sure you are doing as much as you can to support these moving into that area of that phase of your life. Now, menopausal symptoms may vary, but the most common ones, right, that I see, that I've seen, that I have heard of are night sweats and hot flashes, issues with sleeping or insomnia, vaginal dryness, impaired metabolism, adverse mood, and depression. Okay, these are the main issues, and there's a whole host of issues, unfortunately, but these are the main issues And as we know, menopause is inevitable. So we do need to go into it at some stage. So it's really important to start practicing good and healthy habits leading up to it, like I was just talking about. So there have been hundreds and hundreds of studies that work on the correlation of menopause, external factors, and food. And a lot of menopausal symptoms, in all honesty, aren't hugely impacted by food. So let me say that again. You're not going to change your diet and miraculously bypass menopause. Okay. Yes, some foods have been shown to help, but it's not going to completely bypass them. You might be someone who doesn't have any symptoms. You might breeze on through, and that's awesome. But just know that if you are in the midst of it, pre, post, food isn't necessarily going to fix your issues. However, there are some things that have been shown to help, and there are some things that have been shown to lead to weight gain and increase in hot flashes. So I will go through these in just a moment. Now, like I said, when you get older, it's very important. Actually, we talked about this last week. It's very important to reduce the impact of age on bone and muscle density. Okay, so as we age, these decrease. Muscle weakness contributes to fatigue, weakness, and reduced activity tolerance. And muscle mass can decrease from the age of 30, that's my age, and bone mass from as young as 25. So as we get older, again, it's all about that prevention. We want to reduce fatigue by starting resistance training, increasing, strengthening bone muscle, and bone and muscle. Okay, so essentially, the stronger and fitter you are, the easier you'll bounce back from things. If you're watching this and you're like, oh shit, well, I'm already menopausal and I feel like I'm overweight, or I'm already menopausal and I don't exercise, again, it is never too soon to start these things. Just remember, it's never too soon to start. You don't know how long your this transition is going to be for you. So imagine if after 6 months down the road, you go, oh shit, I wish I started exercising 6 months ago. Again, it's never too early to start, but it can be too late to start. So wherever you are in your journey, just start by implementing some of the things that we're talking about today, okay? Now, having a diet, let's talk about food now. Having a diet and high and rich in antioxidants is associated with fewer menopausal symptoms. That's amazing. And it has been shown to delay the onset of it too. Awesome. Now, a diet high in pro-inflammatory foods is associated with higher menopausal symptoms, meaning moving towards an anti-inflammatory diet high in antioxidants, fiber, vitamins, and low in trans and saturated fats is going to be your best bet at reducing those symptoms. Okay, again, not completely eradicating. I can't tell you that it's going to completely eradicate it, but it's going to help ease. Okay, most likely. Now, the good thing about food and consuming it to help ease menopausal symptoms is you're eating these foods anyway. So one, you don't need to go out and buy supplements, and you don't have the harmful side effects that medication does. Unless you have an intolerance, of course, to some particular foods. Using food to heal the body and to help, it's a no-brainer. I mean, there's in my eyes, it just makes sense to try at the very least. You can say, well, that's a statistic, that's very small, there's no point me trying. Well, there's all the point in you trying, because if you are part of that statistic that it works for, then amazing. You don't have to put up with all the side effects of HRT. Now, across multiple studies, phytoestrogen containing soy has been shown to help alleviate symptoms like hot flashes. Now, there's been quite a few studies, but to put it as simply as I can, it's around about a 25% that it sits at, that soy helps alleviate the hot flashes and some other menopausal symptoms. Okay, so again, 25% is better than 0%. Increasing your tofu and your tempeh, increasing your miso, this is not going to hurt, and if anything, it will help. That's where you're going to find soy products from, and other phytoestrogen containing foods are also, let me find out, I put it on my notes somewhere. Some other foods are, where the bloody hell did you go? For some reason, I can't think of it off the top of my head. Here we go. So soybeans, chickpeas, peanuts, flaxseed, barley, grapes, berries, plums, green and black tea. Okay, they are just some examples of phytoestrogen containing foods, right? Now, just to let you know that the estrogen that we produce is different to phytoestrogen in soy. That's why it helps, but it doesn't quite get there, right? It doesn't quite completely cut it out, and it can't. This is also the perfect argument as to why men try and say that they can grow man boobs if they consume too much soy. This is a load of trash because the estrogen is different, similar but different. Now, the results are consistent with other studies demonstrating that reduced menopausal symptoms in those containing greater quantities of plant-based foods than the group consuming less meat. So what I mean by that, because I feel like I didn't make sense, and I feel like I might have read my note wrong, is that basically those who consume greater quantities of plant-based foods have significantly reduced symptoms than those who eat meat. Okay. Now, a study demonstrated that women who decrease fat and increase fruit, vegetable, whole grain intake, again, reducing the processed foods diet and increasing the plant-based foods diet, was significantly more likely to eliminate those typical menopausal symptoms compared to the group who ate meat. So again, study after studies are showing that the high anti-inflammatory diet, high in antioxidants, that is going to be much more beneficial moving forward. Okay, now another study, and this is the last one, I promise. No, I don't promise. This is the last one, I think. Another study showed that a group consuming a diet rich in plant-based omega-3 sources, so that looks at flaxseed, walnuts, almonds, had fewer reports of menopausal symptoms than those consuming olive oil. Okay, so the problem with this is it was over a 12-week study. So generally that is going to decrease anyway, but it did compare very closely to those using HRT, and the reduction was about 10% in both. But think about it, when you're taking HRT, you have to endure the side effects as well. So this is what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with trying plant-based foods and all of these foods to help soothe your menopausal symptoms, but definitely work with your doctor. And if you feel like it's not working for you, definitely go and get the right medication and the right help that you need. But there's no harm in trying plant-based foods. Now, I did mention there are some things to avoid. So high blood pressure, high blood sugar, insulin resistance, these have been linked to higher incidences of hot flashes in menopausal women. So it's really important as well to avoid processed foods and refined sugars. So basically, it is easier for you to have insulin resistance as you get older, because our bodies just really struggle to metabolize it properly. Okay, so we're looking at reducing those biscuits, but also reducing coffee, caffeine, and alcohol, because these are also known to induce hot flashes too. So like I said, plant-based foods, soy and omega-3 rich plant-based foods, they are all great and supposedly are going to help with the side effects and ease those things. But we also want to stay away from, and you're pretty much negating the other one if you're doing both. So you also want to stay away from high sugar foods and processed foods as well, because they also contain high amount of trans and saturated fats, and they're not very good for us. So there's really not a one diet fits all, but we do know that whatever age you are, a very diet high in whole plant-based food sources reduces inflammation, it reduces risks of cancers, it can even reverse cancers and diseases and illnesses, heart disease, stroke, diabetes, obesity, right? It can reduce pain, it can improve mood, and so much more. There's literally studies out there that show consistent consumption of ginger can help with PMS. So food literally is our medication. And I don't know about you, but I would rather eat my medication than swallow a pill, which has a whole load of side effects. So why not stick to a varied whole food plant-based diet when you've pretty much got nothing to lose? And if anything, you can go and speak to your doctor and get some more help. So this is really not forgetting other key elements of menopause. Okay, so that's kind of like the food-based done. And I just want to remind you as well about the other areas and elements of optimal health and pretty much damage control too. So again, look at exercise, look at your resistance and cardiovascular training. Excuse me, are you increasing your resistance training? i.e., are you lifting some weights? Are you doing something with a little bit of resistance? Hey, even at-home body workouts help. If you don't know what to do for an at-home body weight workout or resistance workout, look at the last video that I did last week with Mackenzie. We did an awesome one, and she has a free 4-week training program for you, utterly free. So you want to look at your exercise, increase that as much and best as you can, because you want to reduce the rate at which your bone and muscle mass decline. Okay. Then, of course, we want to look at stress management. Why? Because stress increases cortisol. Cortisol increases weight. So stress management is not only going to help with the direct effect of weight, but also going into menopause, you are going to experience adverse mood, right? You're going to experience possibly even depression. So if you are able to manage your stress, that is going to reduce the symptoms as well, and the severity of the symptoms. So again, getting to grips, getting to handle on your life might seem really difficult, but again, putting them in place before you have them is really important. People often, and my clients as well, they'll say, Bianca, I had a really good day today. I didn't feel the need to journal. But the importance of that is the fact that you're habitualizing something. But also, you don't have to always have something negative to get off your mind. Sometimes you want to celebrate. And the brain might want to keep continuing to search for a celebration until you have a bottle of wine or until you have some chocolates or something to celebrate with. So celebrating is a positive thing that has happened, but also you can get it off your mind and into the book, i.e. your journal, without perpetuating that desire to celebrate with something. So stress management can look like meditation and getting into being a pro before you hit menopause. This is going to be amazing because you're going to be able to completely switch and change your mood at any given time if you're able to nail meditation beforehand. So think of things like meditation, think of things like walking outside in nature, think of things like journaling, mental rehearsals. All of these things will help reduce and prevent stress. Again, we're going to also look at sleep. If going into menopause, you have issues and troubles with sleep and insomnia, these aren't necessarily going to help insomnia, but it's going to help improve your sleep. You want to look at improving your sleep hygiene. Please remember, it's never too early to start, but it is too late. And too late is once you're over the other side. Okay, so start now. Even if you're currently going through menopause and you know you've got a poor sleep hygiene, look at cleaning them up. Guys, I've done so many training videos on all of these things that I've talked about already. Go through the guide section and have a look for sleep. Search sleep. Improve your sleep hygiene, improve your quantity and your quality. Of course, before we conclude, a reduction of stimulants as well is going to help, as I mentioned, to do with the food consumption. Reducing sugar, alcohol, caffeine, and drug intake is going to help regulate your body as well. Now, I'm just going to pop on and see if anyone is... Rebecca, your hair looks good. Thanks, darling. I actually feel like a bag of crap, but thanks anyway. Oh, hello. So, okay, reduction of stimulants. Now let's move on. Let's conclude. Let's wrap this up because I don't want it to be a long one. I want it to be very short, snappy, and informative for you guys. Okay, so to conclude, you cannot rely on only nutrition. You cannot rely on only nutrition to soothe menopausal symptoms, but good nutrition can help. Okay, so you can't rely on it, but it might help. And there is no harm in being in that might category. You just got to find out. There is nothing wrong with increasing your plant-based foods, even if you're not plant-based. Then the evidence out there is resounding. It is screaming at us that a high whole foods plant-based, or a diet high in whole foods that are plant-based is going to improve your health overall, in general, in practically every area of your life. So there's no harm in increasing those foods. And I'm talking grains, beans or pulses, legumes, nuts, seeds, fruits, vegetables, all of these foods, okay? Now, another thing to conclude is to get your bloods done regularly, especially beforehand, and especially as you're going into it, get yourself tested, because there's no point being really down about yourself when you could have fixed it yourself. If you're feeling extremely tired going into menopause and you say, oh shit, it was just the menopause, it's probably just the menopause, and it turns out you're low in B12 or vitamin D like I was, not when I went through menopause, but when I first went plant-based, you could fix that and help alleviate your symptoms, because that is not part of your symptoms, right? So low energy, low mood, these things can correlate to deficiencies as well. So just make sure that you are not putting it all down to menopause and suffering more than you need to. So get your bloods done regularly and work with your doctor, right? Find the right doctor for you. My mum's gone through a couple of doctors. I've spoken to a couple of you already in the last couple of days. You've also mentioned, a few of you have mentioned that you're working through different doctors in your practitioner, and that's totally fine. Find someone who understands menopause for a start, and that can help you find the right things for you, whether that's medication or not. Another thing to conclude is you cannot start damage control too easy. Start now, not yesterday, not tomorrow. Start now, just start now, okay? If you don't know where to start, comment start below and I will help you. Think of your 4 fundamental pillars of health: stress, sleep, nutrition, and movement. Start working on those. Just start. Well, I don't know where to start. Okay, start with one more exercise or one day of exercise. Maybe start with improving your nutrition. Okay. Finally, my last point before I sign off: a whole food plant-based diet with an emphasis on soy, omega-3 sources, a reduction of trans and saturated fats and refined sugars is going to help as much as it can. Otherwise, there is not really, and I am totally open to it, but there is not really a huge amount of nutritional studies or nutrition out there that has shown that anything else is any better than medication. Okay. Another little thing before I go is a lot of the placebo groups were very much in between those as well. So just bear in mind that yes, these are also good, but also sometimes placebos do work. So if you're going to try something and you need help, never say no to a whole food plant-based diet. Never say no to increasing those foods that are going to benefit you. And never say no to things like stimulants like sugar, caffeine, alcohol. Reducing these is going to have such a huge impact on your health, not just menopausal symptoms. If you need help increasing your plant-based diet, I have a free 7-day meal plan, which if you are in this group, there is no way that you could have avoided me. But if you don't have it, let me know. If you are really struggling with these symptoms, with getting your 4 main fundamental pillars of health in line, shoot me a message. Just say, menopause, watched it, need help. And we can jump on a quick call and I can figure out if I can help you, and then we can just go from there. No commitment needed. Just want to see if there's a possibility that I can help you. Because sometimes I have free time and sometimes I like to help. All right, folks, that's everything. Please pop any questions or comments below. Take care, and I'll see you next week. Bye.